Hello and welcome to the Deep Dive.
Hello.
This is where we take your sources, your articles, research notes, and really dig in.
Yeah, we look for the key knowledge, maybe some surprising facts, those aha moments.
Think of it as getting you quickly up to speed on a topic you care about.
Exactly.
Today we're diving into a really compelling story from the sources you sent. Excerpts from Pavel Hrsemnu's book, The Executioner's Path.
Right, takes us back. Old Ford, Czech Kingdom, 1434.
And your source focuses on a young man, Peter, and his, well, extraordinary journey.
It's more than just history, isn't it? It's full of personal struggle, duty.
Unexpected alliances, facing some real darkness, and uncovering a hidden past. It's all in there.
Definitely.
So our mission today is to unpack all of that. We'll trace Peter's story right from being a poor executioner's apprentice.
All the way to becoming a town leader and finding this surprising legacy.
We'll pull out the key moments, the challenges, the big decisions, how he changed, all based purely on the material you've provided.
Okay, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So let's settle in and see what secrets and insights Peter's path reveals from your source.
Okay.
So we start this deep dive in Old Ford, 1434. Your source paints a picture of, ordinary life.
But also, as the book puts it, a place where darker forces were at play, and destiny was often tied to the executioner.
And our main guy is Peter. Young man, poor family.
Limited options, really, which is what leads him pretty much directly to Master Henry, the town executioner.
And it's clear from your source this wasn't an easy choice. He tells Henry it's poverty driving him, no other work.
Right, but he insists he's not weak. He says he understands the job needs more than just strength. He wants to learn, do his duty, however hard.
And Henry, the experienced executioner, he's a bit skeptical at first.
Yeah, your source says he scrutinizes Peter, asks if he really gets what it means, questions his readiness.
And Henry's philosophy about the job, it's quite deep, isn't it? Not just physical work.
No, absolutely not. The book describes his teaching. The tools are instruments of justice, not weapons. The goal is to fulfill the right, not just, kill. And it takes patience, precision, humility.
And that ability to separate one's mind from the world, that sounds intense.
It is. It's framed as a huge mental and emotional discipline.
So Peter's initial training, it starts pretty basic, far from the actual execution.
Exactly. Your source says he begins just cleaning, sharpening, maintaining the tools, meticulous work.
And Henry stresses everything has to be perfect, right? A small mistake could be fatal.
Yep. And the source notes that with every stroke of the whetstone, Peter feels himself sinking deeper into this world that's invisible to most people, like a slow immersion.
And then comes that moment, his first real taste of the grim reality, the executioner's yard.
Yeah, your source describes Henry telling him, okay, now you're going to see what it truly means.
And it's pretty stark.
Very. They go to the yard, there's a body of a felon who died in his cell.
Before the execution could even happen.
Right. And Peter's job, pull the body up to the stake, secure it.
While the crowd watches.
Silently. Your source says, without an iota of sympathy.
And even though it wasn't an execution he performed, this moment, it hits him hard, a realization.
It really does. Pulling up that body, your source says, he starts to grasp the huge burden the executioner carries. Not just physical, but the weight of what people project onto him.
And Henry sees this.
Yeah, Henry tells him he's on the right track, but warns him the road's long, full of shadows. He has to learn to live with them. It's a powerful scene in your source.
Seems like the beginning of a profound change in him. He knows this path will alter him.
He has to accept that weight. Which leads us to his first actual execution.
Set in winter, according to your source.
Yes. The condemned is young, barely older than Peter. Theft and murder.
Crimes were undeniable, the sentence harsh.
And as Peter puts on the executioner's cloak, the source says the emotional toll is instant. The man looks at him, eyes full of fear.
And that look gripped Peter's heart.
Yeah. The aftermath, your source describes vividly. Days just blur into thoughts and memories, nightmares.
Henry gives him some space at first.
He does. Knows it's common. But eventually, they talk.
And Peter confesses his fear that he feels he's losing a piece of himself with each execution, worries he won't recognize himself.
Henry's advice is key here. He says every execution is a test. For the executioner, too. It maintains order, justice.
But he has to learn to live with the weight.
Critically, not let it change him entirely. Henry admits it haunts him too, every soul. But he's learned to keep his distance. It's presented as this lifelong internal battle.
And while he's battling internally, how people see him changes too, right?
Definitely. As he walks around town, People increasingly see the executioner. Your source mentions a mix of fear, respect, but also this cold indifference.
Like he's becoming an instrument, not a person.
Exactly. He's being set apart, visibly.
Okay. So carrying this huge internal weight, facing this isolation, it sets the stage for a major turning point. Doubts about the system itself.
Precisely. Your source introduces this with an encounter. A condemned man, John.
And John challenges the fairness of it all, says the law serves the rich and powerful.
Yeah, he tells Peter he fought for what was right, and he's there because he dared to take what was his.
And then he asks Peter that question.
And you? Have you never crossed a line? You never doubted what you were doing?
Oof, that must have hit home.
It did. Your source shows him really wrestling with it, going back to Henry.
And Henry's advice is still firm. Trust the law, duty over feelings.
Very firm. If you start to question every judgment, it will destroy you. Trust the law, even if it seems unfair. Choose duty. Stark advice.
But then it gets incredibly personal. The case of Victor.
Ah, yes. Victor, a friend of Peter's father, accused of murder, theft.
And Victor claims innocence, a conspiracy by merchants.
He does. And Peter is immediately torn. Loyalty to his father's friend versus his duty.
Victor even puts the decision squarely on Peter's shoulders.
Yeah, basically says, you're the only one who can decide if I'm executed.
What an impossible position. He talks to Henry again.
He does. And Henry basically repeats the same counsel. Questioning leads to destruction. Choose duty.
So, despite believing Victor might be innocent,
he carries out the execution. Your source captures the cost. Peter tells Henry afterwards, I don't think it will ever stop hurting.
He did his duty, but the price.
Exactly. And your source really emphasizes this experience connects Peter to his father, suggests his father faced similar moral trials, like their fates are linked.
A heavy legacy.
It is. And it's right after this, Peter's walking through the fog.
And he's approached. Mysterious cloaked man and some companions.
They've heard about him, his actions, his doubts about justice being skewed by power.
And they talk about true justice, one not based on wealth or power.
Right, justice for everyone. They see Peter, with his unique position as executioner, as potentially key.
And they offer him a way to change the system. Join them.
This throws Peter into more turmoil. He struggles with it for days. Goes back to Henry.
Asks Henry point blank, what if they're right? What if this isn't true justice?
Henry's warning is severe. Justice is a blade, depends who holds it. City law isn't perfect, but this other path could destroy him.
He refuses to tell Peter what to do, though.
No, stresses it's Peter's choice, but every choice has consequences. For him, for others.
So Peter thinks it over, even looks through his father's old notes, trying to find guidance.
Yeah, facing that question. Risk everything he knows for this promise from strangers.
Then he gets a signal. Stones on his shutter.
Yes. He follows the figure to an abandoned warehouse, meets the group again.
And they lay out their goal, overthrow the corrupt leaders, create a new, fair legal order.
They tell him they need his position. Executioner means access, information. He can help dismantle the system from within.
A double life. Very dangerous.
Extremely. After a sleepless night, thinking about his father's words, justice is like a blade, he decides.
He goes back to the warehouse at dawn.
Tells them he's ready, but he needs to know everything. They agree.
And as he starts working with them, looking into the council's corruption, he finds something related to his father.
A huge discovery. Old notes, letters.
And they show...
Your source reveals they show his father was involved in similar secret plans against corruption. Maybe even laying the groundwork for this very group.
Wow.
Letters mention meetings, plans to expose crimes covered up by the powerful.
So his search for truth about his father leads him to evidence that could bring down the whole power structure.
That's an incredible legacy, linking their struggles, but it's also, as your source makes clear, incredibly dangerous.
If those documents were found...
He and everyone he cares about would be in mortal danger. He hides them. The legacy is also a burden.
And that danger becomes very real very quickly. The city council gets suspicious.
Yeah, Peter gets summoned. Councilor John Rutek calls him to City Hall.
He walks into a room with the magistrate and all the councilors waiting.
The magistrate cuts straight to it. Rumors of a plot, unrest, and pointedly mentions evidence involving people close to the executioner.
Peter has to play it cool, but inside.
Chest tightening, yeah. Is it a trap? How much do they know? He denies it, but your source says they look at him with clear doubt.
They let him go, but warn him they're watching. If he's involved, no escape.
Peter leaves knowing someone talked. There's a traitor. He has to warn his allies.
Finding the traitor becomes priority number one, and the source reveals how it happens.
It's Anna, one of his allies. She's at City Hall and overhears Merrick, another trusted ally, talking to a counselor.
Giving away their plans.
Clearly, betraying them.
Yeah.
The counselor is rewarding him.
Anna is devastated. Peter, too, when he finds out. Merrick was trusted.
Your source says Peter is deeply hurt, but also calm, strategic.
He decides they need to stop Merrick, but carefully. Don't want him warning the council.
So they set a trap. It works. They overpower Merrick. Anna confronts him. Why?
And Merrick's reason.
He claims he was pressured, threatened. The council threatened his family. He says he had no choice.
Peter tells him his fear could have cost all their lives. Treason is unforgivable.
But, and this is interesting, Peter doesn't kill him. His judgment, according to your source, exile.
Exile from Old Ford, from the community. But not death, unless he comes back or contacts the council.
Your source suggests this shows Peter trying for a more balanced justice, even though some others wanted a harsher penalty. His own experiences seem to be shaping him.
After Merrick is gone, things get tense in Old Ford. People distrust Peter more.
Fear in their eyes. And the council knows someone stopped their plan at City Hall. They get more cautious.
And they make a new plan, which the rebels find out about.
Yes. Anna gets an urgent message from their scout. A critical message is coming from Prague in 2 days.
And the council is meeting secretly.
At an abandoned castle outside the city. They changed the location last minute.
Okay, this is their chance. Peter realizes they have to act fast.
He proposes something risky. He'll go alone to the castle, intercept the message.
Anna's worried, naturally.
But Peter insists. He feels he has to be the one. The responsibility weighs on him.
But the mission goes sideways.
Badly. He gets near the castle, spots the counselors, the Prague delegation, then bam! Ambushed. Captured.
Wakes up at a dungeon.
Cold. Damp. But your source shows his resourcefulness. He's injured, but manages to untie his ropes. Finds a broken plank.
And uses it to pry open the door latch. Clever.
Yeah. And he knows castles, maybe from his executioner work, knows about underground passages. He navigates through the dark.
And overhears the counselors?
Yes. Meeting. Talking about getting rid of him, crushing the rebellion for good.
He needs to get out, warn the others.
He escapes the castle, exhausted but determined. Gets back to Old Ford, tells Anna everything. They know they have to act now.
The executioner's house becomes their base for final prep. Your source mentions a quiet moment between Peter and Anna before the action.
Yeah, he tells her she and what they built. That's why he fights. She says she'll fight with him.
Their plan? Hit City Hall during the council meeting.
They get in, find the counselors with the guy from Prague, confirms the threat is real and immediate.
But Peter makes a key tactical call here, doesn't he? No direct attack.
Right. He goes for the information, destroys the plans, the documents, while his team holds the entrances. Quick, decisive.
Throws the council into confusion, buys them time to escape.
They get out, leaving the counselors furious, wounded, and even more dangerous.
So the council is reeling, but still a threat. What's the rebels' next move?
Peter proposes attacking their main base, the old castle on the hill.
The one he just escaped from. That sounds incredibly dangerous.
It is, but he thinks it's their best shot at a decisive blow. They agree.
And he knows a way in.
A secret passage, known to executioners, bypasses the main guards, gets them inside.
Leads to a fight inside the castle.
Fierce fighting. Peter finds the council leader trying to escape, chases him up a tower, they duel.
And Peter wins. But again, your source notes.
He leaves the leader alive. Defeated, but alive. The leader shouts, his plans will live on. Peter just says, that remains to be seen.
Another instance of him choosing judgment over pure execution.
Seems like it. With the leader down, the council forces falter. The fight ends.
Victory. Hard won.
Yes. Relief mixed with sadness. They know the larger fight might not be over, but they won the day. Anna finds him tired. We did it, Peter.
And he acknowledges the win, but stays cautious. Need to ensure the council's plans are really dead. Be ready for what's next.
Always looking ahead.
So after that big battle at the castle, Old Ford starts to recover. Slowly. The counselor's shadow still lingers, though.
But life picks up. Hope starts to return. And the townspeople, they make a choice.
They elect Peter as their magistrate.
Yeah, quite something. Despite his past as the executioner, they trust him to lead. Anna tells him they love him. It was never in doubt.
He accepts the responsibility. Another burden, in a way.
And his personal life improves, too. He marries Anna. They start a family. Your source calls it a time of quiet happiness.
But just when things seem maybe finally settled,
A new threat emerges. It sounds terrifying.
word comes that the remaining counselors have allied with dark forces.
And from surrounding cities. The messenger says they're numerous, and there's something dark is with them, something we've never seen before.
Later descriptions make it sound supernatural.
Yes. The herbalist Peter consults calls it ancient power, linked to forgotten magic and rituals. Mentions creatures and powers, even winged specters.
Okay, this is a whole different level of threat. Peter calls a council meeting.
People are scared, your source says, but they're determined to stand together.
And Peter seeks out someone with specialized knowledge.
An old herbalist, known for ancient magic. She agrees to help, but warns it's dangerous there's a trice.
Their defense plan is fascinating, a mix of practical and mystical.
Exactly. The herbalist creates a protective ring herbs, rituals to slow the dark forces. Peter organizes military defenses, fortifications, patrols, traps. Everyone pitches in.
The battle comes on a dark, moonless sky.
Your source describes the enemy human fighters, yes, but also these winged specters, glowing red eyes made of shadow, nightmares incarnate.
The fight is intense. On the city walls, the herbalist's barrier helps.
But eventually breaks. The dark forces push through.
Things look bleak, but Peter remembers something.
Henry's armory. Your source frames it like, okay, time for the last resort. He and Anna rush there amidst the chaos.
And he retrieves a special sword.
Yes. Armed with this, he confronts the leader of the dark forces, tall, black cloak, red eyes.
The leader scoffs at the sword.
But Peter attacks. Your source describes a swift, brutal duel. The sword gives Peter unusual energy. He finds a weak spot, strikes.
Breaks through the leader's defenses. The leader falls.
And the dark forces. They hesitate, retreat, lose their strength.
Old Ford is saved, but the cost is high. Dead, wounded, damage.
Your source includes a poignant moment between Peter and Anna afterwards. She says love came to him at the right time, and it's stronger now.
And Peter admits he never thought anything could be stronger than duty, but Anna changed that. He feels complete with her. A real shift in him.
Life settles again. Peter's the magistrate, Anna's pregnant. But there's still this unease, lingering threats. The paws are mentioned.
Yeah, your source doesn't fully explain the paws, just frames them as this persistent danger.
And they strike. Anna is kidnapped by the leader of the paws.
Peter gets a letter. Come alone to the woods. Her life or the city's safety is the price.
An agonizing choice. Duty versus Anna. Your source shows him wrestling with it, ultimately deciding the city isn't worth it without her. He goes alone.
He confronts the leader in the forest. The leader demands the city. Peter refuses. They fight.
Anna, even captive, she shows incredible courage, frees herself, joins the fight. Peter tells her to run. She refuses, stays by his side.
Together they fight. Peter's filled with rage, determination. They defeat the paws.
And again, Peter spares the leader, exiles him, warns him never to return.
But tragedy strikes. Anna is badly hurt.
Serious injury, blood loss, shock. Peter carries her back. The doctor is grim. Survival is uncertain. The baby's at risk too.
Peter waits by her side for days, praying. Your source paints a picture of deep anxiety.
Finally, she wakes up, weak but alive. First question. The baby. Peter reassures her.
Anna recovers slowly. The pregnancy continues. Peter juggling magistrate duties, caring for her.
And then in winter, their son is born, John.
Your source calls his birth a symbol of their love and perseverance. Light in dark times, a culmination of their struggle.
A moment of real joy.
So after John's birth, there's this period of happiness, peace at home. But Peter still feels something, an unease.
Yeah, a shadow, your source calls it. And then late one night, a mysterious stranger arrives.
Older, tired looking.
Right, and he brings news about Peter's family past. Something unresolved, dangerous, that someone is trying to uncover. A family secret.
Peter's shocked, but needs to know more. He gets a letter later summoning him to the forest edge. From the stranger.
He suspects a trap, but feels he has to go.
Alone.
In the forest, the stranger confirms it. His father was tangled in some ancient mystery.
And here's the bombshell from your source. Peter's name, his lineage is cursed, tied to treachery, greed.
His father tried to break it by running away, and it cost him his life.
Exactly. And now that past is coming for Peter. It reframes everything.
Peter just wants to know how to protect his family. The stranger gives him an old scroll, a map. Mysterious symbols, runes, a central symbol that looks worrying. Says it'll show the way to break the curse, but time's running out.
Peter studies it all night, can't figure it out. He needs help.
He goes to the learned monk, Nicholas, known for ancient texts.
Nicholas looks at the map, identifies it as ancient runes, a path to somewhere hidden, maybe an old castle, a fortress.
And the central symbol, Nicholas says it means protection, power, but also danger, value. He warns Peter.
But Peter feels he has to follow it. The journey leads him outside the city to a forgotten keep.
The map leads him to a well, engraved with that same symbol.
And inside the well,
A hidden staircase,
ah,
down into dungeons. He finds this great underground hall, an altar, a banner with the symbol.
and an old sealed book covered in runes. This must be it.
What he was looking for. But as he starts reading the book, your source says it changes him, makes him more mysterious, absorbed. Nicholas notices.
And when Peter tries to use its knowledge, maybe a ritual.
An ominous, dark figure appears in his study. Vague but menacing.
And the figure delivers a chilling message.
Straight from your source. Peter opened forbidden gates. The curse needs a sacrifice. Blood for blood, soul for soul.
Implying he has to sacrifice his family, his son.
That's the clear implication. But Peter refuses. Immediately, firmly. He won't do it. He'll find another way.
He goes back to Nicholas.
Nicholas suggests sacrifices aren't always physical. Could be giving up something valuable, or maybe an act of immense courage, willpower, a different perspective.
So Peter goes to an old ritual site in the forest, seeking answers without that terrible sacrifice.
The dark figure appears again. Peter stands firm. His family won't suffer. And the figure seems to accept it.
Your source suggests his fate is now tied to his choices, not just lineage. He leaves feeling his family is safe from that threat.
But just as that seems resolved, another twist about his origins emerges.
Nicholas finds more manuscripts.
Yeah, mentioning a lost son of a knight from Wildstein. Kidnapped, given to a scribe in Old Ford for safety. Nicholas suspects it's Peter.
They go see Abbot Vincent at the monastery.
The abbot confirms the story is real. And then Nicholas finds the specific scroll. Peter is the lost son of Knight Wenceslaus Wildstein, given to the scribe for protection.
His true identity, highborn. How do Peter and Anna react?
And a surprise, calls him highborn. But Peter, your source says, feels this truth means trouble, but it doesn't change who he is. The man he became in Old Ford
And Anna.
stands by him, ready to face whatever comes, together.
Then Peter learns someone in Wildstein wants to meet him. He feels he has to go.
He travels to Wildstein, meets John of Wildstein, Wenceslaus's brother, his uncle.
John confirms it all, recognizes Peter as his nephew, offers him the chance to return, claim his heritage, his role in Wildstein.
Another huge choice for Peter. This ancient legacy is offered to him.
But he can't just leave Old Ford. His life, his family, his duties are there.
After thinking it through, he makes his decision. He'll accept the inheritance, the responsibility tied to Wildstein, but he will stay in Old Ford.
He goes back to tell John.
And John accepts it, recognizes Peter as being true to himself, the man he became.
Your source adds a little intrigue here, too. Nicholas hints there might be even deeper secrets about Peter's origin, tied to mysterious forces. Suggests more research at the monastery.
Peter agrees to look into it. Another thread for the future.
Time moves on. Anna's pregnant again. Then, at a big feast, the king himself recognizes Peter.
Confirms Wildstein belongs to him, the rightful heir. Peter accepts the duty.
And Anna becomes Anna of Wildstein, a knight's wife. They embrace the shared future.
Your source describes them visiting Wildstein, their new residence, the fort there, welcomed by the people.
And it ends, this part of the story, with them renewing their vows, maybe marrying again in Wildstein.
Yeah, symbolizing their new beginning, their home, standing together, feeling their future is solid, full of love, regardless of where he came from. A powerful image of earned identity.
What an incredible journey we've just traced from your sources. I mean, Peter's path. It's just staggering.
From that reluctant apprentice dealing with the grim reality of being an executioner.
To a magistrate people trusted, a husband, a father, fighting corruption, even facing down, well, dark magic.
And finally being acknowledged as the Knight of Wildstein. It's quite a transformation.
We saw him grapple with huge moral questions, didn't we? Questioning his own duty, surviving betrayal.
Leading a rebellion. Those terrifying personal trials like Anna's kidnapping.
And then discovering his whole life was tied to this hidden lineage, this legacy, this curse his father tried to escape.
Yeah, the story, as these excerpts tell it, it's just this rich weave of duty, love, destiny, and maybe above all, choice.
Your source really highlights how our past, even the parts we don't know, can shape our present challenges.
But also how our choices, not just where we come from, define who we ultimately become. He wasn't just handed a title.
No, he earned the right to be a leader, a fighter, a family man, through sheer hardship and determination.
And that final decision he makes to accept the Wildstein heritage, but stay rooted in Old Ford.
It says a lot, doesn't it? That real strength isn't just about winning battles or claiming titles.
It's about choosing the path that aligns with your own values, protecting what you hold dear.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the executioner's path, here's something to think about, maybe a provocative thought for you.
In what ways might your own path be shaped by legacies or histories you're not even aware of?
And how do you decide which parts of your past, the known bits, the newly discovered ones to embrace, and which parts you need to forge anew as you move forward?
Something to definitely mull over.
Thank you for sharing your sources and joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, we hope you found it as fascinating as we did.